One thing I couldn't wait to try out from Mario Kart World was the online. Because we can race computers all day, it doesn't give you the full satisfaction of what this game could actually bring to the table. For instance, a lot of the time I'm always ahead of the pack and I'm only racing against like 2 or 3 really competitive computers when everybody else is just far off in the back of the pack. But with online, it is a completely different story. And man, was I thrown into the pit. Mario Kart World Online is the most chaotic, insane, crazy mess of a mode, and it is so fun, but also so insanely unfair. I think my entire view with Mario Kart World so far has been, this is the most fun I've ever had with a Mario Kart game, but this is some of the most frustrating moments I've ever had with a Mario Kart game, because there's so much great about this game. The highs are the peak of the peak highs. Some of the lows in this game can also be very annoying. So of course today I'm going to share with you my experience, show you some gameplay, and talk about how I feel about the online mode, and which also shows me kind of how Mario Kart World works in general. But first I want to thank Dbrand for sponsoring today's video. They sent over their awesome brand new kill switch for the Nintendo Switch 2, where this is like a really cool extra grip for the Joy-Con and also a protective outer shell for your Switch 2 in case you drop it. Please don't drop it because it's very expensive. But this thing is awesome and extremely versatile, and there's so many different little components to it and how it works, so let me kind of go through it real quick and explain for you. This outer shell protects your Switch and Joy-Con from any scratches, tear, or breaking when dropping. It's actually very, very smooth to the touch as well. It doesn't feel bulky. It's extremely light. Another thing I love about it is that it's extremely easy to put on. Some of these other accessory manufacturers, I have to like pry the thing to get it off my Switch when I don't want to use it, but this is extremely easy, as every single piece that goes on this Switch and the Joy-Con as well, it's very easy to take off, but it's not flimsy to the point where it's just gonna fall off. You have to just flip some lids and then boom, you can take these things right off. It's super simple. The Joy-Con is where the real magic happens, because unfortunately I wasn't a big fan of how it feels in handheld. Just because it's bigger didn't mean it was better. There's no grooves or anything to hold the Joy-Con or to hold the entire system, and this little grip adds a nice grip for your hand and for your fingers to go right into the slots without covering any of the buttons. Kill switch also comes with nice little rubber grips for your Joy-Con sticks, and they're not too big or tall like some other companies make where they're like giant towers sticking off your console. They feel just right, and they just feel like great little improvements from what Nintendo gave us. Also, the kill switch doesn't cover up any of the vents, and it actually cools a lot better considering the fact that it comes with a dock adapter, to the point where you don't even have to put this thing into a dock and worry about screen scratches or anything like that. You simply just attach this adapter, which is extremely easy, really doesn't have to change anything with the dock itself. All your cords are still plugged into the back of the dock. You're just adding this thing and slapping the Switch 2 in the front of it now, and you can keep it on with all the accessories attached, and you don't have to keep taking it on and off. And the best part is you're not losing any quality with this dock attachment. It's still keeping your console running games at 4K 60 at the highest, which is exactly what the Switch 2 can do. Not to mention, it also comes with an outer shell covering lid, so that way you can protect your games, which you can also add into the lid itself, but also protecting the Switch 2 screen even more. And it's a very simple attach. You don't have to latch anything or, click a bunch of things in. All you do is attach this band and you're ready to go. If you want to get your hands on your own kill switch for the Nintendo Switch 2 from Dbrand, all you have to do is click on a link in the description down below. With a $450 console, you're definitely going to want to make sure you get the best of the best to keep your Switch 2 protected at all times, and that's exactly what Dbrand's brand new Switch 2 kill switch is going to do for you. So huge thanks to Dbrand for sponsoring today's video. I'll tell you what, Dbrand sent over that case at the perfect time, because I about threw my Switch 2 across the room at least 10 times in the span of an hour playing online. I put in about 4 to 5 hours of online play in each of the modes to really get a good feel as to how this game works, and I think I have my good feel. Mario Kart World Online is chaotic as heck. Of course, with 24 racers, it has to be, right? But I think it's even more chaotic than you could have ever imagined. Do you remember how crazy Mario Kart Wii's item pool was? I mean, it was just absolutely insane. People were getting the craziest items in the craziest times, and that's what I feel like is going on here. Now, there's good and bad to this, so let me just talk about my experience. For the most part, I hate Grand Prix. No, like seriously, I hate the normal Grand Prix or versus races online. This mode is just so impossible to do well in. I feel like you're going to have to get extremely lucky. For one, you don't get enough time to really compete and perform as good as you really want to, because it's just like one small stretch until you reach a track, or one little 3 laps around one track. And when everybody's on the track throwing out the craziest items ever, yeah, it gets so hectic and crazy, it's hard to tell what's even going on at times. Now, both knockout Tour and the regular versus races online is pretty much the same thing. It's just about who gets the best items and who can blast ahead of the pack, because without a doubt, the two best items in this game are the Golden Mushroom and the Giga Mushrooms. These mushrooms are just absolutely insanely OP. If you get a Giga Mushroom, you might as well just go from 24th to 3rd place in a matter of seconds, because you can just skip entire parts of the track and just blast to the front of the pack. But then it's a constant cycle of getting to the front, getting blasted right back to the back, and getting another Golden Mushroom and going right back to the front again. I've literally witnessed this multiple times, and as it is very, very satisfying, it's very, very repetitive, because that's literally the only way to gain up an advantage on your competition. I mean, you literally just witnessed a clip I just showed you right now of me going forward and backward again in a time period of literally just, what, 30 seconds? Now look, I know it's Mario Kart and it's supposed to have crazy items, but there's some really insane item pulls in this game. For instance, once again, the Giga Mushroom. As you can see, I pulled a Giga Mushroom and a Golden Mushroom. It seems to be like the golden combo that you can pull in this game. But the Giga Mushroom, in my opinion, is way too common. I mean, literally, at any given time in a race, you'll see somebody use a Giga Mushroom like almost every second you're looking. Like almost 4 to 5 people be using them at the same time, and they're just all crushing everybody out of the way. I cannot tell you how many times I got crushed by somebody with a Giga Mushroom in this game. It had to be, over my span of 4 hours playing online, at least literally 25 times, and I'm not joking. Also, I know blue shells happen in every game, but I've seen literally in one knockout tour about 8 to 9 blue shells at one time. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't have the gameplay because I was playing in handheld when this happened, but I got hit one 3-lap race around one track 3 times by a blue shell. One on the first lap, and on the second lap right before the finish line, and on the third lap also right before the finish line. It's just like absolutely disgusting. Not to mention, you can't shock dodge in this game, meaning if you get hit by another item before the blue shell, it just stacks up. That blue shell is going to hit you and cause you to flip over no matter what, even if you fall off the track, even if you run into another item. So you're going to get absolutely obliterated. And if you get hit by one of these things, especially in Grand Prix where there's no time to catch up, or just a regular versus race, you're out of the entire race. I've never seen someone that got hit by a blue shell finish in the top 3, because they're just completely done. As far as the actual gameplay, once again, it's highs and lows, because there are some intermission tracks that I absolutely love, but one of the problems with it is that I feel like in literally a span of 2 hours, I played the same 2 intermission races over and over again. It's like they kept choosing the only 2 cups. I don't know if it's dependent on the day, because of course this morning when I played, there was 2 different cups that they kept choosing, and it was only those 2, which is very frustrating, because it gets very repetitive when you keep going down the same intermission tracks, which once again are hit or miss. Some of the intermission tracks are filled with traffic and tons of little shortcuts off the road that you can take. And there's some that are literally just the most boring drive straight intermission tracks. As everybody's just flinging items at each other, you're just driving straight, especially if you didn't pull an item, and you're just praying that you don't get hit by something, because there's nothing else you can do. You can't trick off of anything because it's just a straight road. There's no shortcuts, there's nothing else you can do besides just take the hit. I feel like Nintendo designed the game and the items and the racing and all the mechanics first, and then just came up with the roadways, because once again, it feels like Nintendo's leaving it up to the items to make the race. Because once again, if you have a gold mushroom or any mushroom or a Giga Mushroom, you're able to just dodge through everything and just skip everybody and immediately get to the front of the pack without having to hit any shortcuts or anything. It just makes me wish that there were more things going on some of these roadways. I mean, if you just grab your good items, stay onto the far outside of the path, you'll probably won't encounter too many people or too many items, but you're just dashing forward and just by yourself in this giant open lane, and really nothing is happening until you just wait to get smacked in the back of the head by an item from somebody that's just flying in, or from somebody running you over with a Giga Mushroom. And I also feel like when we do get a chance to race 3 laps on regular tracks, it's probably some of my most fun. It honestly is probably more fun to me than just racing on these intermission tracks, because I actually get to hit shortcuts and stuff, which is still really hard to do though, because everyone's spamming items at you. Sometimes it's almost impossible to do any of the shortcuts or even enjoy the race, because sometimes it doesn't even feel like I'm racing. Instead, I'm just playing Smash Brothers with 24 razors. Once again, don't get me wrong, I love the chaotic nature of Mario Kart. That's what it's supposed to be like, and I still get a literal boost of adrenaline adrenaline every single time I see a golden mushroom pop up in my item box, because I know I'm about to go absolutely crazy and use it to the best possible scenario, especially when I have a Giga Mushroom popped and then a lightning strike hits and I know that I just rode the wave on everybody and I can just dodge everyone. It is a very, very, very therapeutic feeling, and it's some of the most fun that I've ever had in a Mario Kart game. But with that said, some of the roadways just feel like they're not really interesting at all, and it's one of my biggest concerns that I was having before the game came out. And of course, it's still in the game when the game is finished. Now, on the contrary, Knockout Tour is one of my favorite modes I've ever played on an online video game ever. It is chaotic, but it's fun and it's reasonable. One of the major things here is the track goes on for a while, and you have lots of opportunity to get back into the front of the pack. You can calculate, you can plan, you can save items for specific moments, you can look at the map and see where everybody's positioned and see what you have to do at the last second before the next checkpoint. It is a very, very fun mode, and as players start getting chopped down, you start getting less and less players and less chaotic, and it starts becoming more and more like Mario Kart. And that's why I love Knockout Tour so much, is because it is fast-paced, it's intense, it's crazy, there's so many things happening, and it's also keeping you on the edge of your seat to make sure that you finish through that checkpoint in time. I always felt like this mode actually rewarded me for playing well, and by the time you got to that last lap on the final track, it actually felt like everybody was right near each other. It was super close until the very end, and whatever happened, happened, and it was always a fun time. I never got upset about losing in this mode, really, ever, unless something just absolutely bizarre happened. For the most part, it felt more tamed and, actually more like Mario Kart than anything else that I've ever played. But going back to some of those intermissions, they're just so bland sometimes. Like I said, you're just driving straight, getting absolutely smacked around, and just hoping that you get an item where you can do something. Take this intermission for example. It is a very long, windy ice road where you're doing really nothing besides just driving up this super long mountain. And the item boxes are spread super thin across this mountain to the point where you're lucky to grab one or two of them. Why couldn't they have icicles falling from the ceiling like obstacles, or more penguins sliding across the ice, or typhoons where they were blowing racers off the mountain? Take this ski resort area where there's nothing going on. You have these super wide and like 4 branched off ski resort areas, and it's just nothing happening. I mean, some people are getting mushrooms and going through the snow, but besides that, everyone's just kind of driving straight and hoping to have a good item to protect themselves with. And thankfully, I have a gold mushroom where I can turn this boring road into something a little bit more interesting. Why couldn't there be a lot more Shy Guys snowboarding? Or maybe the ones riding the loft dropping things on the racers down below? Or maybe a random blizzard event that covers your screen in a blinding white snow, making it very hard to see where you're going until you reach the next checkpoint. But still, I found myself loving Knockout Tour, and it's the only mode that I really want to go back and keep playing over and over and over again because it's just so exciting. And I really wish there was just a basic online mode where we could just race like classic Mario Kart. It's very strange to me there's not a classic mode. Now, every now and then on the versus races, you will get a one track where you can race 3 laps around it, but why not a dedicated mode where I don't have to race intermission tracks, where I can just race on the 30 or so actual dedicated tracks in a game where we can just do 3 laps and end the race and move on to the next track. It's something that I hope is added in a free update, and there's just a lot of stuff that I hope is added in an update. I think the items definitely need balance because, like I said, it just feels like it's all shells and Giga Mushrooms everywhere you look, smacking you in the back of the head. They also desperately need to mix up these tracks more because I cannot sit through another Knockout Tour of me falling down Bowser's Volcano. I mean, I've played that tour almost 10 times in a row. I'm tired of this track in Big Donut. It's also strange because in the regular verses, you can vote for what track that you want to drive to next, but how come you can't vote in Knockout Tour? Why is it just a random track that they choose? Why am I not allowed to choose? Am I missing something? I feel like I've never been able to choose unless I'm just joining late or something. But one more complaint that I have. Where in the world are all the semis and the helicopters and the giant speedboats and stuff that we were seeing in the trailers? There is nothing on these roadways. I played almost 4 to 5 hours of online Mario Kart World, and not one time have I run across one of these semis. I did it one time, I think, through my entire time of ever playing this game, and it was when my friends came over when we played the Grand Prix versus with each other. I so happened to finally see a semi veering off in the distance, and I was able to actually get inside of it and drive and run people over, and it's extremely satisfying and super fun. Why isn't there more stuff like this in these intermission tracks? I have a lot to say about the intermission tracks, and I'll probably do a whole video about that, But so far with online, it's been some of the best and some of the worst experiences I've ever had online. There are sessions where I'm just getting trampled over every 3 seconds. Blue shells hit me every single time I get in the first place. As soon as I get in the first, I get thrown back into 20th, and then I just keep getting ran over multiple times by people with Giga Mushrooms. And on the other hand, I'll play some of the most exciting, most heart-pumping, blood pressure raising races I've ever played in a video game ever, where I'm constantly fighting to get higher in the pack and items feel a lot more balanced and players are dropping as we continue on throughout the race, making it less and less chaotic and more about tight racing. But let me know what you guys think about Mario Kart World Online. Have you been having fun with it, or have you been having frustrating moments, or are you kind of in the middle like me where you're both having fun and frustrating moments? It's all over the place. But thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out. And like always, I hope you all have a blessed day. And I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.